Okay, I'm Joe Calderoni, Senior VP for Communications at Mount Sinai South Nassau. Thank you for coming, members of the press. Just so you know what the run of the show is going to be, we're going to have a few remarks up here from our elected officials and from Dr. Sharma, our Chief Medical Officer at Mount Sinai South Nassau. And then we do have two residents who live here in this senior housing complex who have signed their HIPAA rights away and have agreed to be photographed as they get a vaccine. So after we have our remarks, right behind us, there are a couple of seats, and that's where we're going to have them actually get their vaccine live, and you'll be able to speak with them as well. I did just want to mention, 5 months ago is when we started talking to the town about this Vaxmobile that you see behind us. And 5 months ago, it was not at all clear that we would actually have the vaccine to do this. So I really have to call out Councilman Anthony D'Esposito in particular and Supervisor Clavin, who are behind me. Councilman D'Esposito represents the area where the hospital is located. And we went to him 5 months ago, literally in November, and said, our CEO, Rich Murphy, has this idea about purchasing a mobile unit like the one behind us so that we can go into the communities that are hard hit by the virus so that we can bring the vaccine to them. A lot of people are still having trouble getting appointments, as we all know, to get the vaccine. Rich's idea was to bring it to them. We went to Councilman D'Esposito, and he did what a good elected official is supposed to do. And look, I'm like everybody else. I think I'm probably too quick to criticize our elected officials. But in this case, I got to tip my hat. I got to give credit where credit is due. They listened. They listened to the idea, and more importantly, they acted. And they acted back in November and December, and that goes for the entire town board, when it wasn't at all clear that our vision for this, that we would have the vaccine to do it. So Councilman D'Esposito and Supervisor Clavin, I really have to thank you, and Councilmember Gooseby, who also was involved. Everyone was involved. Also, I got to call out Dana Sanneman of our staff right here, our Vice President for External Affairs. Dana literally was writing the grant application over the Christmas holidays and working through all the logistics, and there are a ton of logistics. This may sound easy, but to get this on the road with enough vaccine, with enough staff, make sure the generator works, make sure the lights work, has really been quite a feat. So Dana deserves a lot of credit. So with that, I want to introduce Supervisor Don Clavin, Town of Hempstead.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and thank you. Oh, excuse me, everybody. Listen, frankly, I have all the notes in the world, but I'm excited. I was excited about this the moment that Mount Sinai came to us with this idea, and as the progress has gone on, you know what? The anticipation building up. Ladies and gentlemen, you're standing in front of the very first mobile COVID-19 vaccination unit in the entire state of New York, otherwise known as the Vaxmobile, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what it's going to take, and that's why I'm all excited. I was like a kid before Christmas this morning, ladies and gentlemen. When we had these discussions with Mount Sinai and Dr. Sharma and the entire team over there about looking forward, and that's what we've tried to do. And with my colleagues and I, we are honored to stand here with the entire delegation of Mount Sinai to make this, first in the state unveiling. As I said, I'm Don Clavin. I'm the town supervisor. I'm joined by my colleagues, and I'd like to introduce them because all of us work together collaboratively with Mount Sinai to put it together. Of course, our senior councilwoman, Dorothy Gooseby, whose district was probably the most affected due to the pandemic with the highest numbers, including right here in Uniondale. As a little note, on March 29th of 2020, in the town of Hempstead, that day alone, over 2,000 people tested positive for COVID-19 on that day alone, and the majority did stem from the councilwoman's district. In addition, he represents the area that houses Mount Sinai South Nassau, and he's been, the real linchpin of getting this together, and that's Councilman Anthony D'Esposito. Thank you very much for all your work on this as well. And I'm also joined, and all these decisions have been unanimous, ladies and gentlemen. That's the best part. It's about putting people before anything else in our society, and I can't do it without all of the board members. And I know I see Councilman Chris Carini's here. Thank you very much, Chris. Councilman Dennis Dunn, Councilman Tommy Muscarella, and Councilman Bruce Blakeman. And of course, I'm also joined by our Receiver of Taxes, Janine Driscoll, and former Supervisor and Town Clerk, Kate Murray. And they all deserve a round of applause. But most importantly, let's give a round of applause to the entire Mount Sinai team for having this vision and putting together. Dr. Sharma, you and every staff member here who are the essential workers who have been on this front line and are starting to make the turn. You know, somebody said to me, is this the light at the end of the tunnel? And my comment was, no, this is the headlight at the end of the tunnel, ladies and gentlemen, because this is what it's going to take. You know what? Last year during this time, it was lockdown time, and we all experienced it firsthand. You know, I see members of the media. You drive around in separate cars, one with a reporter, one with a camera person. You know, at the effects that it had for all of you with every simple thing you did. But these men and women, you know what? They kept going to work. They kept going in, and it was all about testing. And we've teamed up with Mount Sinai earlier last year, where we provided funding, and they were able to get testing done for thousands of residents throughout the town of Hempstead in a drive-through facility. And it really would be remiss if I did not take the time to thank Senator Schumer for exactly why we're here today. It was Senator Schumer's advocacy that was able to get CARES funding to the town of Hempstead that we were able to do testing of thousands of people, feeding over 1 million meals to food distress victims last year. And it's through his advocacy and those funds that we get to stand behind what I really feel is the stepping stone to getting open fully again. We can have all the drive-through facilities we want throughout the area. We can have a pop-up facility. But what it is going to take is getting into every single community throughout the town of Hempstead. Not everybody has a car. Not everybody has internet access. What they're now able to do is park this and take this unit into every nook and cranny throughout the town of Hempstead. And we're starting right here in Uniondale, where today they're focusing on seniors and individuals who have underlying health conditions, and they're using the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And that's amazing. It really is amazing. And tomorrow they're going to be in Elmont, and then they're just going to be on the road. As long as those vaccinations come in, this team has committed to go out there and get these shots in the arms, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? And that's why I'm excited, because that's what it's about. We're supposed to help people. And I have to say, I am so happy to have a town board team that works with me and have people in our community, like all the advocates here in Mount Sinai, because it is the collaborative efforts, it's thinking outside the box that we were able to come up with this entire concept and this entire program. And like I said, Dr. Sharma and the entire team at Mount Sinai, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being there from day one. Thank you for sitting down and giving us the ideas. You know what? I always say that you have to listen to people to be successful. And this has been a really successful teaming up with Mount Sinai. And then lastly, for having this vision. They knew when we were testing, vaccinations were going to be months down the road. And they knew you cannot get this stuff out by snapping your fingers. And they also knew that this was going to take the necessity of getting into every community. And this mobile unit's going to start that process. So on behalf of the entire town board, myself, and every one of the 750,000 plus residents that live here in the town of Hempstead, we want to thank Mount Sinai, the entire team, all of our essential workers, and say thank you, God bless. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring up for remarks Dr. Sharma. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Supervisor Clavin. That's going to be very hard to follow. But I do want to thank the supervisor. His vision with Councilman D'Esposito and the town board allowed us to start planning way ahead of having vaccine. And he mentioned the logistics. It is very challenging to get these vaccines out. This is not like a flu vaccine. There's such a limited quantity, you can't waste a single dose, but the vials come in 5 or 10 doses in a vial, so everything has to be matched up, and I can't even explain to you how challenging it is when it's a 2-shot series. We're fortunate for the Vaxmobile, we've been able to secure the Johnson & Johnson, which is 1 shot. We get into these communities where people are challenged. We still get emails every day of very, very senior folks, 80 plus, saying, I have not been able to get an appointment. My wife and I have not been able to get an appointment. And it's heartbreaking for us, because what we want to do is get vaccine to those that are at highest risk. And those are the people that are at highest risk of complications from COVID. So I want to thank everyone for their vision and their support. It has been incredible to work with the town on this. With the testing, as Supervisor Clavin mentioned, we've done almost 2,000 members of the town of Hempstead. We were able to test, and testing was the first part, but the vaccines are really the solution, right? Testing was great when that's all we had, but now that we have the vaccine, we need to get it. And we have an incredible team at Mount Sinai, and I'm not just saying that because I'm part of the team, but we really do. I want to thank Amber Vitale and her team. Amber has been going to people's homes who are unable to get out of their homes to do homebound vaccinations, people who are on ventilators in their homes, etc. It's been amazing what she's doing on weekends, holidays. She's just out there making sure she can get to the patients who need this the most. And then our truck behind us, this is not an easy feat to pull off. So we had the support of our IT team who are here today, and our design and construction team headed by our VP of Construction, Andy Triolo. I believe he's here. Thank you all. We could not do this without a total team effort. So it's so much different than giving out a flu shot, which was so much easier by comparison. We've done drive-up flu shots, we've done flu pods. This is very challenging, and we're very thankful for all the support. I do want to say that since December 15th, we've given out over 20,000 doses of vaccines to people in the community.
Great.
And we know the U.S. has given out over 100 million, so we just need to keep going. We have to get to that 80% number, and the way to do that is by getting to people who can't get to you. And that's what this truck represents. It represents our ability to provide hope and a sense that there will be an end to this sometime soon. And the way back to normalcy is by all of us getting vaccinated, protecting ourselves, but also protecting our family and our neighbors. So that's all I have to say. Happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I will return it back over to our MC.
I'm going to bring up Anthony as the councilwoman.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Dr. Sharma and the entire team over there again. As I said, this pandemic has hit some areas significantly higher than others, and that's just being very straightforward. One of the hardest hit districts in the town has been Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Goosby's district, and she's been an advocate of making sure that that district receives exactly all the help it needs with the food insecurity, with the testing, with the PPE, with everything else. She's a wonderful advocate for her community. She's a great town board member. But you know what? Most importantly, we can really call her a friend, and everybody should. And I'd like to bring up Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Goosby.
Thank you, Supervisor. I am very happy. You think you're happy. I'm happy. Because my district, as I look at it now, today, I have over 6,000 people, over 6,000 who are affected by this virus. And I tell you, the other thing that bothered me so much, I have a cemetery in my district, and every day we will bury more than 20 people. More than 20 people per day. And still it's happening. And you know how many families have lost relatives, and it's just terrible. Just terrible. So our CARES money went to one place, many different places, but you look at what's happening back here. You see that mobile unit? That is so important because many of the seniors are not able to get out. They don't have a phone that they can use to call, and they don't know who to call. They don't know how to use a computer if they have one. So it's nice to have this, and I'm very happy. This happens to be a very good friend of mine, this young man back here. I mean, all of them are friends, but he's something because he'll do whatever I ask him to do. So we are doing this, and you too. That's all I have to do is say what I need. But we do have the mobile van back there. You're going to get a chance to see it, and that's where some of our CARES money went. And not only that, we also helped them set up a unit in Mount Sinai so that they're able to have people go through and be tested before. But now they have more units, and 30 years old can get it. Mount Sinai has a unit where people can go, and they're going to give me that address today so that I can let them know, because there are people who've been calling my office many, many times. And I want to make sure that we get them all of them have to be safe from this virus. So thank you so much, all of my board members. I thank you. I thank you, Mount Sinai, very much for all that you're doing to help us. Thank you so very much. And I know him for a long time, so he's been involved with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And like I said, it was Councilman D'Esposito represents Mount Sinai, and they reached out to him initially, and he came, and that's where it really started picking up. And I'd like to bring him up for some remarks, and that's Councilman Anthony D'Esposito.
Well, thank you, Supervisor. It's really a great day here in the town of Hempstead. And as many of us during this Holy Week celebrate Passover and preparing to celebrate Easter, we look at those two holidays as a new beginning. And today, with Passover and Easter in mind, we celebrate a new beginning here in the town of Hempstead. I am thankful to my colleagues on the town board because, like Supervisor Clavin mentioned, this was a team effort. I'm proud that the main campus of Mount Sinai South Nassau falls in my district, but when we sat around a table and discussed this mobile vaccination, this mobile testing bus, everyone was in favor. Our town clerk, our receiver of taxes, our colleagues on the board. Everyone looked into the future. This was back in November and December when we weren't sure what March 31st of 2021 would bring. Would we have vaccines? Where would the pandemic be? Would we still be shut down? But they all had the vision to say, you know what? This is where we are headed. And like the supervisor mentioned, this is a stepping stone. This is a stepping stone to us getting back to our, I guess what we will call, new normal. This is a stepping stone to opening our restaurants. This is a stepping stone to getting our kids back to school and back on the field and back in the pool. This is a stepping stone to getting everyone back to work safely. This is a stepping stone to boosting our economy. This is a stepping stone to healthier days ahead. So it's an honor once again to join with my colleagues, to join with Supervisor Clavin, to join with Mount Sinai South Nassau in unveiling the first mobile vaccination bus in New York State. So to all of the town of Hempstead residents listening at home, this bus is on its way to you. Stay healthy and God bless.
There you go. That's it. Thank you, Councilman. So listen, I'm excited. Let's do this because you know what? Let's get the shots in the arms. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, we're going to ask you to join Dr. Sharma, you and your team. We want to join with you for a commemorative photo on the road to recovery, ladies and gentlemen. One shot every single drive. Let's get it going. Let's go on over and do the unveiling right now. Councilwoman?